Hi, and welcome to Healthy Living. I'm Debbie Lyons. I'm here today with CEO and COO, Joel Taylor. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely.
You are actually CEO of Coastal Carolina and COO of Hilton Head Regional, which is sort of the umbrella. So it's a treat to get you here this morning.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
I tell you what, I'm thrilled to be here at Tidewatch Emergency Department. And what an honor to talk to you. This is sort of a dream come true. Share with us a little bit about how all of this came to be.
Sure. Well, thank you again for having me. I'm excited to tell you a little bit about our latest project, the Tidewatch Emergency Department, which opened in August and was really the dream of the leadership team here within Hilton Head Regional Healthcare. We filed the certificate of need in August of 2016.
16, 17, 18, 19, wow.
3 years to get it out of the ground. And so from a state regulatory standpoint and then the construction component to bring it to bear is really exciting. It's
Talk to me, if you will, a little bit about the need. Why here? Why now?
Sure. So as we looked at kind of the growing demographics, that if those that live in the area know the area, we're positioned right along Highway 170 here, where there is so much residential growth, also other healthcare providers on this road, commercial. Just knew that with the traffic studies and the growth of Sun City and other communities in this area, the growth in emergency department visits has a direct correlation to that. And so knew that a facility like this would really meet those needs and expectations of the growing community.
Talk to me about a standalone emergency department. That seems really different and new and innovative to me.
It is new and different. I think we're the 6th or 7th in the state, the 1st in the low country. The uniqueness is it's an emergency department that's always ready, always here, 24/7, 365 with a board certified physician. The difference is we're just not immediately attached to a hospital. So in the event someone needs emergent surgery or an admission, we have a relationship with the area EMS providers and private ambulance companies to take the patient from here to Coastal Carolina Hospital, to Hilton Head Hospital, or wherever most appropriate for the patient.
So for a person who has an emergent kind of need, they just come in, what's the procedure?
So it's just like in the emergency department. So if you walked in, you would walk in, they would do a quick assessment, they'd triage you, get you back to a bed. The beauty of a freestanding emergency department is wait times are dramatically less. That's just kind of through the way they're built and the difference in technology that we have here.
From a growth standpoint, do you see these freestanding emergency departments as something that a critical need?
Absolutely, it is a critical need. And South Carolina, as I said, 6 or 7 in the state now. You see a lot more in Texas and in Florida and those areas. I think you'll continue to see these more prevalent in the area because it does meet the community expectations without the whole infrastructure of the hospital right there behind it. It's just a little bit easier and quicker.
I just was going to say, what do you think is the biggest selling point for some of these freestanding emergency departments? I think you actually answered that, but a little more detail.
Sure. I think if you look at them kind of broadly, you'll see they're much more intertwined within residential areas. So it's just that immediate access point. And we have built processes that ensure timely care throughout.
You know, it's been interesting. I had the privilege of doing a tour, and it was really amazing. There were all of the different trauma rooms. I mean, it's a nice big facility, and the nurses and the staff were so gracious, and they were saying that patients have reported and shared that it's a very personal experience, and I think there's something to be said about that.
And that's good to hear. As we developed it, one thing we wanted to make sure is that people understood our abilities, but also that personal touch is always it is the key part of what we do.
Well, I tell you what, it was a treat to get you out this early in the morning and to see sort of the changing of the guard here. Appreciate it. We'd like to talk more to you another time. So
I would welcome
so much.
it. I would welcome it. Thank you, Debbie.
Stay with us. There's more to come on Healthy Living. We are back here on Healthy Living. I am here with Dr. Paul Zorch, and I'm very excited to talk with you. You know, in the process of beginning the interview and setting up, I asked a question, and we were like, you know, that may not be a bad question. I think a lot of us don't know. And that is, what makes an emergency physician an emergency physician? What is emergency medicine?
Emergency medicine is acute care medicine. We are acute care specialists. Our training is based on taking care of emergency situations, be it medical or traumatic. So the focus of training is basically on those types of situations. A lot of physicians that practice emergency medicine are board certified in emergency medicine, so the residency program is specifically tailored to that
So
type
pretty
of training.
rigorous.
But a lot of just the way physicians now with the shortage and all that, there are so many spots in ERs that can't be covered by the number of graduates from ER programs that a fair number of physicians that practice emergency medicine are boarded in another specialty.
My assumption is you don't ever know what's coming in. I mean,
Right.
a cardiologist, I would think, would surmise that someone who comes in is going to have a heart issue. But you really have to be more broad spectrum in what you can do.
I personally am a board certified family doctor. And I
Oh.
practiced family medicine for 5 years, but I'd done ER work all through my training and while I was practicing family medicine. Then I went to the emergency room full time almost 30 years ago.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, so-
Has it emerged and changed and shifted? I know walking through this freestanding Tidewatch emergency department, it's pretty amazing. Let's talk a little bit, if you will. Can you share with us about the actual unit itself?
Yes, it's a brand new. We've
Yes.
been open since August. We have 12 beds, 4 of which are, we call them fast track beds for minor problems, run-of-the-mill
One of our
colds and-
grandchildren comes in with a boo-boo.
Yeah, with boo-boos and lacerations and those sorts of things. And then we have 8 rooms that are set up for the more serious problems. We have 2 rooms that we would designate as trauma type rooms. The other 6 rooms are basically set up the same as at the main ER department. They're all private rooms, the eight rooms.
Now, I think just because I'm curious about a freestanding emergency department, what about a laboratory or X-ray, CT scans, things like
Yes,
that?
we have a full service laboratory. We have a CT scanner here. We have X-ray here. We have ultrasound here. Basically, we have everything here that you would find at the main department. So we are an emergency room. We can take care of anything that walks in the door.
I would think we were talking to Joel Taylor, and it was really interesting about the real need to have an emergency department in this area. Who's your demographic? Who are you seeing? What kind of patients are you seeing?
Well, I think we're still getting our footprint in the area.
Well, you've only been open for a couple months,
Right.
yes.
We're on the back door of Sun City. Most of our business so far is coming from that
Okay.
demographic. I'm starting to notice, and I work here half of my shifts. I work at the main department, half here. I've noticed in the last month or so that we're starting to see more patients from the general community as well. So we're basically focused on this I-170 corridor, the 278, the Bluffton area, the growth of Hardyville as it extends out. This is where the population growth is in this area. So we're well suited to be right smack in the middle of all that.
You know, I hear emergency departments categorized according to what kind of injuries they can manage. How does it work with coming to any emergency department as far as getting a client in or getting a patient in? You've got a couple of trauma rooms, so
Right.
you pretty much can do anything.
We can do anything, and it's a triage system.
So talk to me about what that means to the lay public.
Sure. Obviously, when an ambulance comes to pick somebody up at their home or the street or wherever, they call in and let us know what's coming.
So you know what's coming.
So we know
Okay,
it's coming
you know
by
who's
ambulance.
coming in.
When something walks in the front door, we have a nurse that is stationed in the triage area for registration. And when that patient comes in with a complaint, they're able to categorize that patient based on severity of what their complaint seems to be, and if it, and then categorize them based is it a minor problem or is it tend to be something severe. Just take for example chest pain.
Okay, perfect.
Anybody with chest pain is treated as a true emergency.
Okay.
So if you present to our registration area a complaint of chest pain, you're immediately brought back into the back and have an EKG done within 10 minutes to see if you are
If there's
you're
no
having a heart
problem
attack
here,
or not.
right.
And so there are certain. Another one would be stroke symptoms. If you have a bad headache or focal numbness or weakness or visual problems or something like that, those patients are immediately triaged to the back as well. In that situation, we would call a stroke alert and we get everything.
Well, it's really interesting because I think we don't really think about an emergency department until we need one. And then we come in, and I wish we all were better educated about the rules of the road, like what you're talking about. One of the things that Joel said that was really interesting was this is a much, I don't know how to say it, I guess the goal is to make it a much more personal experience here too, where patients don't have to wait as long.
Correct.
Is that an important piece? Do you find that people just, the anticipatory tension of something wrong and...
Sure, I think when somebody is ill in the middle of the night, and it can be something very mild and minor, but to that person at that time, it's an emergency.
Scary.
It's scary. So they, the lay public, and the thing that makes it worse, they get on the internet and look up WebMD and they make their diagnosis for all these crazy things.
No, that's true.
So the anxiety level of a person, whatever complaint they have, and to us it's minor, but to that particular patient, it's a major problem that needs to be addressed. So the less time that you have to wait to have that problem addressed, the better it is. You can allay their fears and help them out.
So in the last minute or so, if you were to talk to the public and say, okay guys, this is when you need to come to an emergency room and not mess around. Here's what I've heard so far: chest pain, get in there.
Right.
Okay. Numbness, headache.
Yes, we talked about that.
Yes. What would be some other things that you think would be an emergent, get into the emergency room?
The motor vehicle accidents, even though they seem minor, they're sometimes, particularly with the elderly, even a low-speed accident can lead to significant injury. Obviously broken bones, lacerations, those types of things. High fevers with vomiting, severe abdominal pain.
The list goes on.
The list goes on and on and on. And sometimes people may think what is minor turns out to be not a minor. And we get surprised sometimes ourselves when we examine people and check them out and say, oh my goodness, they have this. And it was in our differential, but it certainly wasn't high on the list. So.
Well, Dr. Dark, it's a pleasure to talk to you. I'll tell you, if you haven't been out here, it's probably worth coming to see. It's an amazing facility. And your staff, your director of First Impressions out here, everyone has been very welcoming. And I can imagine if I were in an emergent situation or my family member, it's quite nice to have people so friendly. So thank you for joining us. Stay with us. There's more on Healthy Living.